not the end of the line, right? There's still plenty of opportunities for you to join these MBA programs, even if you're on the wait list. We've had many clients get admitted off the wait list, and some of them even with scholarships. So just, we've got some things to do, but there's definitely sunlight at the end of the tunnel. So again, I'm Jen T with ARINGO MBA Admissions Consulting. We help candidates with all types of parts of their MBA application process, from strategy all the way down to waitlist campaigns. So we're here to help. We help about 4,000 students get into top MBA programs. And today we're going to talk about what the waitlist is, types of waitlists that there are, how to tackle it, and then some do's and don'ts. So again, I chose my coffee cup specifically for today with the anxiety emotion from that movie. And so I don't think that you should get too worried. I know it's so easy to be nervous about what's happening, but there's definitely ways around this. And so don't worry. Why does a school waitlist somebody? So there's several different reasons. One of them could be that they're trying to craft a class, right? Like they're trying to have this diverse group of students that represent different countries, different backgrounds, different sectors, different functions. And maybe they had a lot of people from similar backgrounds apply, and maybe some of them just edged you out a little bit, but they want to keep you just in case that spot opens. They'd love to have you take that spot. So that's one thing. The other thing is that they have probably admitted plenty of students during each one of these rounds, but they do know that not everybody is going to choose them. So they will wait until folks either deposit or decline their offer, and then go ahead and admit people off the wait list. And then the other part could be that maybe they need more information about you. So something about your profile feels like it's a really great fit, but they're not exactly sure why, or there's something missing, and so they want more information from you. And we'll talk about what that will require. And again, there's this is last year's statistics, but up to 40% of waitlisted candidates do get admitted depending on the program and the round. But, this should give you a little bit of hope that there's definitely a chance, an opportunity. Okay, so I do see that we have some folks that have shared waitlists from Cornell, Tepper, Stern. Let's see. Okay, I think that's a lot for right now. But, again, like if you end up with other schools, we can talk about them along the way as well. So we'll get back to this real quick. So types of MBA waitlist. So first, there could be, you could be waitlisted without having an interview. This has become a lot more popular. Previously, there were less, but I think what's happened is admissions committees have decided maybe if we interview somebody when we're on the edge, we're wasting their time and our time if we're not sure if they're going to come. So, they will say, okay, your wait list before you even have an interview, which feels scary again. But the good thing is that most schools will give you some sort of FAQ, a webinar, something to give you more information about what you're supposed to do. There are some schools that ask you to do a waitlist video. Some of them ask for updates, and some of them ask for no updates. So just make sure that you are paying attention to what is required of the school that you're specifically waitlisted for, and what they do or don't want. Okay. So pre-interview MBA waitlist. So it's a second chance. And I think that the biggest thing to know about this type of waitlist is they haven't got to meet you yet. And so that whole personality connection that you usually have during an interview, that part hasn't come across yet. And so you have a lot of opportunity. Some reasons you could be waitlisted without an interview is, potentially your exam scores, or maybe like a lower GPA, something like that. Or again, There's a lot of people from the same background that you are working, that you're representing, and they're having a hard time deciding who should be the ones to come forward. And then also limited interview spots. As we've probably all heard, this season, there have been a tremendous increase in applications. And that started at the end of last year and has continued through this year. So sometimes they don't have the capacity to offer everyone an interview. And so just know that, again, it doesn't mean that they don't want you. It just means that they might not just have the capacity. And then sometimes it could be unclear about your goals or your fit. So maybe your application was strong, but it was too generic that it didn't feel like, oh, overwhelmingly, I feel like we're going to be your number one choice. So these are things that schools are going to be thinking about whenever they do the wait list. So again, like I said, there is a lot of room here. If you haven't interviewed with the AdCom or whoever they have interview for this specific school, so you can send in letters of continued interest. And so again, that's like showing them, hey, like if you reflect on your application and you're like, maybe I didn't put enough in there. I was working with a client and he was waitlisted and his goals aren't the most typical for that school. I'll say for Yale, right? And so we kind of went back and said, okay, let's make the connection for the AdCom so that they can see that if you're admitted, that this is the right place for you because of these specific things. So other ways that you can help strengthen your candidacy, I say certifications, promotions, and revised test scores. Sometimes, like if you know that your exam score is much lower than the applicant pool, then it's probably worth it to try to retake the exam. If you know that you cannot move the needle on that, there's some alternatives to that as well, taking some additional academic classes. Okay, so Asta says, can you speak about Haas post-interview waitlist process? Okay, give me a second. I'm about to move into that. So you want to continue to stay engaged with this school, making sure that you're attending sessions, talking to students, and gaining more information and insights. So post-interview waitlist. So again, this is a little bit different because they know you better now, and they still put you on the waitlist, which means that there's possibility. So from their standpoint, it could be, class composition, which we kind of covered already, competitive applicant pool, fit for the program. Maybe they need that additional information. And then these are things that also play a factor is yield management. So every MBA program is ranked. And one of the ranking components is how many people accept your offer of admission and what percentage. And so this is why they don't just dole out admits and say like, okay, let's see where the cookies fall and see if everybody is going to come or not. So sometimes whenever they are reading your application or even additionally interviewing you and are not so sure that they're like, okay, either it didn't feel so tied to our school specifically, or they might feel that, wow, they're super competitive. I don't know if they're going to come here if they're admitted to another school. So like a good example of this is if a student is really articulating that they want to be in New York City and they're on the wait list for Stern, but they're super competitive, Stern might say, yeah, I don't know if they're going to choose us. If they have the profile to get into Columbia, they'll probably choose the other one. So we don't want to hurt our statistics. And then by you completing the wait list experience and showing continued interest in research and involvement, you're showing them like, I will absolutely choose Stern. And then that helps them with saying, okay, great, let's give them the admit as we thought. But like now we've done that as an educated kind of guess. Okay, so post-interview waitlist. Again, we've talked about letter of continued interest, any relevant updates. So, if you've finished a project, gained more experience, had anything happen professionally or even personally. So like I've had a couple of people that have been moved over to leadership roles within a community organization that they're part of. And so that's helpful as well. So the other thing you can do is continue to clarify your post MBA goals and make sure that they see that that's the right spot for them, and address any weaknesses. The other thing about this is you don't want to give the committee too much contact. You want to let them breathe and also still find you desirable to be part of the class. But if you bother them and send an update every day, not a good idea. But if you have something that's worth sending over, absolutely do that. Okay, so we'll dive into do's and don'ts in just a second. But Asta had a question about Haas and what you need to do. Here, let me do this. I think I'm going to project it. Yay. Okay. So somebody asked about, the Haas post-interview waitlist process. Would love to get a sense of what one might do to maximize their chances of getting in and what are the chances. So again, that could be up to 40% of candidates get off the wait list in general. It's really hard to tell this year. Somebody, and I wasn't there, but somebody in round one was waitlisted with Booth and said that there were over 100 people in the waitlist presentation. So, I mean, I can't give statistics at this point just because they never report them. But even like Harvard does have their FAQ, they tell you a percentage, I believe, in there. So, there is some hope that you can do that. Okay, so just want to double check that I'm not missing out on anything and make sure everybody is here. But for Haas, I think the biggest thing for them is that they have a small class size and they want to protect that and make sure that everybody that they admit really does want to go there. And I believe they're one of the schools that allows you to do a video. And so any school that's offering a video, you want to make sure that you are yourself. And if you did have an interview already, it's okay. Like, to be a little bit more upbeat and excited in your update video or your continued interest in the wait list. But, the point of this is for you to share new information or connect the dots for them. So making sure that, you're talking about why Haas is going to be important to you. So if it's the connection to technology, the emphasis on social impact, the connection to the finance industry, we'll say it loosely that way, that is the thing that you need to tie into. Any specific professors, clubs, activities, current students that you've talked with that really make you feel like this is going to be the right place for them or right place for you. Okay, next question. How to ask for an expedited decision because of other schools' deadlines. So with this moment, I forget, like somebody has like the saying of beggars can't be choosers, or I don't know. But anyways, you're already in a position of you're not getting an admit automatically. So you want to make sure that you're preserving your personality. They do understand that there are a lot of different things coming under factors as that you're considering. So you could send a letter to the AdCom and say, I have been admitted to XYZ school. Hopefully it's a competitive school or peer school for that, the school that you're on the wait list for. And you can say, I've been admitted to this school and I have X number of days to deposit. I've also have, a scholarship of X amount of dollars and would love to be able to make the best decision possible with all the, potential information, and would love to know if there is any way to expedite the decision for waitlist. I don't be too forceful or too hopeful on that because each AdCom is going to have their own way of dealing with waitlist, and likely it's not going to be on your schedule, but it's okay to ask. Okay. Any other questions anybody has that they haven't asked yet? We can do that. Looking in the chat, I don't see anything yet in there. Okay, so if you have questions, please do use the questions box to answer or ask anything that you might have questions about. So do's and don'ts. You do need to reflect on your candidacy for this program. Where are there potentially some gaps? And you need to reflect. A lot of people, the gut instinct is to complete an action immediately. And they're like, oh my gosh, I need to send an update right now. And it's like, well, actually, I think that the committee wants you to reflect before you start to take action. This is going to show a little bit about your character and how you handle stressful situations. So take some time to review, especially if they're potentially going to have a waitlist seminar or something like that, or they say details to come. Then wait until you get their directions to send anything, because that's, you know, a kind of a data point for them to say, oh, you know, I have listened to what you asked and I'm following your steps. You let them control the situation. And you can identify these potential areas. Again, exam score, school fit, if you have too much or too little career experience, ready for the career transition. So, you know, on a daily basis, I talk to potential candidates for MBA programs, and occasionally I'll get somebody who's like, oh, I've been a software engineer for 2 years and I want to move into investment banking. I'm like, that's probably not going to happen. So the admissions committee is going to want to hear a little bit about steps in between and what your plan is. And so part of this reflection process could be, you know, while I ultimately would love to be in investment banking, I know that there are some steps in between. So what I know I will be able to do is utilize these classes, these clubs, you know, the finance club, the investment banking club, whatever club it is, to be able to gain insights and work my way to there to make this transition. So you're giving them some more ideas of how you can get to that point. Can you please speak to the UCLA waitlist and any tips? So I'll be honest, we're in a really big waitlist era. So I don't remember each school's waitlist process or questions or anything like that. So if you have something specific, go ahead and put it into the question itself. But if, you know, UCLA, they're in a very competitive area, then so you're talking about the California schools, but obviously, like, most of the time people who are applying to UCLA are not necessarily also applying to Stanford or Haas. So if you think about who their peer schools are, maybe it's more of like NYU, Kellogg, potentially like some of those other schools that have a lot to offer, because like UCLA, so many really great options for their program. But, you know, you can go into CPG, you can go into entertainment, you can go into sports. So they're trying to think about where else you might be applying. And when you compare UCLA to maybe NYU or Kellogg, they might have the edge compared to them. So again, it could be them like guarding their wait list and saying like, okay, well, we know typically people are going to choose these other schools over us simply because of a location in New York or because of rankings, supposedly. And so, you know, you want to go back and reflect on why UCLA Anderson is the right place for you. And again, that's, I know it sounds like a broken record, but it is, you know, what classes, connections, the region, the area, and those special things about UCLA that they offer, that's going to convince the admissions committee that they're the choice for you. And so take that into consideration when you're doing that. The other one is that they could be thinking that you might be also balancing an admit from USC with scholarship. So being able to give them, again, something specific and solid as to why they're, you know, the most important school for you will be important for you. All right. Okay, so next question. I have been waitlisted without interview, but have an admit from a relatively higher ranked school. Given that there is no time for sitting for the exam again, what could be my next steps? So, I mean, I'm going to assume that the school you're waitlisted for and you haven't just accepted the other admit is the school that you really want to go to. So I think that it's okay to write a letter and say, hey, like, I just want to reiterate that this is my number one school. I have been admitted to this school with or without scholarship, give them that information. And however, this school remains my top school. And so that should help them with saying like this person hasn't given up on us. Like, they want to be here. So you can have, you can obviously say, like, I want to be here. So I think that that's the best way to handle things without a ton of background information. Okay, some other things that you can do is follow up with the AdCom and what their advice is on providing waitlist updates, and then know your status. So you can always figure out if the waitlist is ongoing or they're going to only review people at the deadline for the next deadline. So some schools will do, continuously a rolling review of waitlisted, and some of them will not. So just kind of know that to budget your time and decide when you want to submit an update letter. And I definitely would say you want to do it within 1 to 2 weeks of the deadline, if you know that that's what you need to aim for, just so that you can have an update going into the refreshed comparison of the applications that were submitted during that season or during that cycle. Okay, so next, let's talk about some don'ts. Again, you don't want to pester the admissions committee by giving them too much information. You also don't want to not contact them at all, right? You want to make sure that they understand that you are there and engaged. You want to show a lack of enthusiasm, or you don't want to have a lack of enthusiasm. So again, like, just accepting your place on the wait list. Again, some schools that's all they want. Other schools, like, just accepting that spot doesn't really give them anything more or show them the initiative of like, this really is my number one choice. So making sure to do something beyond just accepting your spot on the wait list is very helpful for the AdCom to see who wants to be there and what they're going to do. Okay, so you don't want to send generic updates. And so sometimes people will copy and paste and send to all of their waitlisted schools, which probably might have been their tactic for actually submitting applications in general. So AdComs can tell when it's kind of like a copy paste situation. You don't want to give them too much information. And then, so I guess, you want to make sure that you're following the guidelines that they set. Don't try to stretch them. And you don't want to neglect your fit for the program. Again, this is the point when you need to be sharing with them why you're the best fit. Okay, so the next thing is don't give up. AdComs will evaluate on a continuous basis. And usually for most schools, if you don't get the admit off the wait list, then it's a positive sign for reapplication for the most part. So, if you were on the wait list and didn't make it, could be space related, anything like that. So I would make sure that you are, showing them you want to be part of the program. But like, if you get waitlisted in round 3, there's not a lot of room or space to potentially get admitted for fall 25. So reapplying for fall 26 is definitely a real possibility. Okay, so this is the end of the presentation. I think Abhijit has been so kind to put up my link if you want to have a conversation. I know that this says for profile review, but if you want to get more insight about the waitlist in the actual meeting request, you can say, to get insights on my waitlist, tell me the schools, in that meeting invite so that I'm prepared when we meet. Okay, so that is everything. We are ready for questions. And then Abhijit, I know I should text you, but if you don't mind, let me know how much time we have left. I don't want to run over. Okay, so an attendee says, I was admitted to a top school, but got a visa denial because of the higher cost of attendance. I applied to a lower ranking school with a lower cost of attendance and got my visa. But when I shared with my top school, since it was my number one, they gave me a warning of not joining with them, the other school visa. I'm currently stuck. Please advise. Okay, so I'll just say that this is maybe a little too vague for me to give you like a ton of advice, but I understand what you're trying to say. You should contact the international student office for the school that you got admitted to so that you can, so that they can give you the directions that you need to take. I think that some of that might be, don't try to enter the US with a visa for our school if you're not attending it. You need to switch your visa over. I am in no way an expert in this. So I would definitely make sure that you're engaging with the Student Services Office or International Office to be able to get that information. All right, Abhijit, let me know that we have 2 minutes left. So again, my biggest advice is not too much anxiety. Don't go crazy. Like, there's all kinds of possibilities for your experience and your possibility for attending an MBA program. So let's talk about it. We'll figure out a way to get the best possible answer we can. And hope you guys have a great day. Thanks.